Hello, my name is Tom Wolfe, and I am honored to serve as the 47th Governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The documentary you are about to view chronicles the lives of several African American military service men and women from the greater Harrisburg region who served in World War II, Korea, the Cuban Missile Crisis, and Vietnam. The intent of this and sequential documentaries is to provide firsthand accounts of these men and women who provided service in the defense of the United States. We realize, and will better understand with this documentary, that their journey was fraught with discrimination, segregation, and institutional racial barriers that existed in the military. However, their resolve, fortitude, and faith served as a guiding light and allowed them to achieve some of the highest levels of service, in keeping with the outstanding legacy of such great African Americans as General Chappie James, four-star general in the U.S. Air Force, Phyllis May Daly, the first of 4 African American women to serve in the United States Navy during World War II, and Benjamin O. Davis Sr., the first African American general in the Army back in 1940. I congratulate creator and executive producer Brian Wade and Mr. Daniel Fordham, CEO of Fordham Films, for this important documentary, which features various African American men and women who lived and resided in the capital region of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Thank you for your service to America and to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Give him a hand.
Freddie Bourne, Army.
Jeffrey Pierce, Army.
Pastor Gilmore from
On this side. On this side over here.
Christian Robertson, Army.
Deacon Raymond Smith, Army.
Gwendolyn Smith, Army.
Joseph Proctor, Army. Alan Jenkins, Army.
Elder Melvin Watts, United States Army, and my wife, Deaconess Watts.
That's what I'm talking about.
Vincent Harrison, U.S. Army.
Chuck Pierce, United States Coast Guard.
All right.
Marlon Carter, United States Navy.
Representing the late Senior Chief George W. Jackson, U.S. Navy.
Master David Green, U.S. Air Force.
All right.
Bruce Harris, United States Air Force. Kevin Pearson, United States Air Force.
J. Walter Gumby, U.S. Marine.
Say it louder, y'all.
My name is Richard B. Holmes, United States Marine. Lance Thomas, Mrs. Thomas, United States Army, Airborne.
Benjamin Smith, United States Marine Corps.
All right.
Holly Henderson, United States Marine Corps, March 27, 1957, July 6, July the 9th, 1966. 1675418.
All right.
Benjamin J. Ravenel, United States Air Force.
Give him a hand. Brian Wade, United States Navy and the United States Army National Guard.
When I speak in church, funerals, and other things, I always preface my remarks with praise God from whom all blessings flow. And then He has got something here for me to do in this world. He's protected me and my family. I had a very good set of parents and siblings who were also taught the values in life, and we managed to stay out of trouble. That came from my father. He always was in the forefront of doing what's right for his community. He worked close with the powers to be in the city. Back in those days, things were not the way they should be and not fair. And a lot of the housing was bad in the community. And he was just a man who enjoyed doing things for others. And I was around him and saw that, and I kind of picked it up. He had the best job in town. He was the janitor for the city hall. And he was able to raise his family and get enough money together to purchase a home with the connections that he had. He was able to get a payment through the banks to purchase the home that I live in now, and I lived there all my life. When my parents had me, they were getting up in age and they needed the help. And they wanted me to stick around and just to be there to help them. When Martin Luther King was killed, we were out there on the streets, not sitting home, but trying to keep the police from taking billy clubs and whatever and arresting the youngsters in the neighborhood who were upset with Martin Luther King being killed. They even burned down one of the supermarkets that we had in the city. But it was my job with the NAACP to get out there and try to cool things down and come to some kind of reasoning. We were able to picket the downtown area of Lancaster because they wouldn't allow us to have decent jobs downtown. The only thing you could do downtown was to be janitorial in the different stores or run the elevators in the stores. But you couldn't get a job in restaurants. In fact, some restaurants, they wouldn't let you even sit down. I became an elected official in the city. Although when I ran the first time, I lost, but I didn't give up, even though the city party that I was running with would not support me. But my wife and other friends in the neighborhood, we were able to get out there and spend our own monies to campaign. I was able to run for city council. And I not only ran for city council, I became the president of the city council. I tried to always be fair and always looking for what's best for the majority of people. And a lot of times the decisions that were I made, were not always popular. You got to be in the room. What that means is that when decisions are being made, especially around folks, Caucasians and Spanish and all those kinds of people, you got to be in the room to have your input. Otherwise, they'll just walk over top of you and think everything's okay. But we want to make sure that our community that was being neglected is being helped. The power of a great community is a combination of individuals with a mindset to improve those who are left behind. even though they may move and live some other place, but they do give their talents back to the city. Parents and older people especially should be careful how they walk in life. I don't mean just walking, but the stature that they present out there, and because the youngsters are looking for examples, they really are. It's a good place to live. There's so many pitfalls that we run into, but we got to be able to work around those things and to bring along our youngsters and let them be strong.
During the time of the assassination of John Kennedy, he wrote a poem a few years after that acknowledged Kennedy's assassination. And that poem was placed in the Kennedy Library. Later, when Martin Luther King passed away, or should I say was assassinated, he wrote a poem that is called The Voice of Dr. Martin Luther King, which has been used around the country and even in other countries on days to honor Dr. King. And that poem was presented to Mrs. Coretta Scott King, who acknowledged it, and it is in the King Library in Atlanta.
Sugar Ray Robinson.
And what did he want?
He wanted me to come out there and box in this club. He thought I was that good. Because they didn't see no marks and they wondered why. I said they can't hurt you if they can't hit you.
Were you drafted into the military?
Yeah.
Do you remember what year you were drafted?
1943, and it came out in 45.
Okay. And where did you go when you got drafted? Where did they send you?
I was in Texas, Mississippi, and Louisiana.
Did you go over to Europe?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
I went to Belgium, and then I was Belgium, France, and Holland. The guy was giving my test. Said, this gentleman want to be a Marine, and we're not taking the black Marine in until April. So it was ammunition box on the floor, and I was working at Newcomer Army Depot and handling them kind of boxes all day long, 103 pounds. So he said, lift that box. I lifted up. He said, put it on your right shoulder. So I got a hold on it, put it on my right shoulder. He said, put it on your left shoulder. So let's go around, put it on my left shoulder. He said, put it down. So I put it down. He didn't know I could do all that. He didn't know I was that strong. So he looked at me for a few seconds. He said, you're a Marine.
I've also played with my own quintets on some of the Bill Cosby festivals, the Tony Williams Scholarship festivals that took place in Philadelphia. And I played with a trio, myself playing piano, and I played with quartets with our son J.J. Wiggins, who presently plays with the Duke Ellington Big Band and also Monty Alexander.
Mr. Rutherford was on the Underground Railroad. His tomb, which is massive, is in the graveyard at 13th and State Streets, and that's when I first became aware of the history of this institution. He had a lot of land, and this time this was all rural. So it was a good place to bring people who were trying to escape. They probably came in on the railroad and also in the Susquehanna River. And the people in Harrisburg brought them out to this farm area and kept them here until they were able to arrange for them to go up on the western branch of Susquehanna or by train up to Canada.
African American history can be very important to our children because they don't realize what other people did before them. I know when I was, for instance, when I was in high school, I thought I was the first African American to study algebra because there was I was the only black person in my class, and I didn't realize that years before other ones had done the same thing. Just that I was a young person who grew up in Harrisburg, saw most of the legends, and that I tried to pass on to posterity the history of the city.
I was proud to serve in the United States Navy. I served for 4 years. I went to service out of high school, and I enjoyed it for the most part. I was in the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, but one day while I was in the Mediterranean, the ship started moving. I was on an aircraft carrier, a USS Forrestal CVA-59. It was a flagship, and we were going somewhere, and I didn't know where because the ship was going at high knots, and they didn't tell us. So finally we got to the Caribbean from the Mediterranean. They explained to us that we were going to be part of a blockade around the island of Cuba. And then they explained to us that there were missiles on there. Khrushchev had put missiles on there, and President Kennedy had asked them to remove them, and they didn't, so we went to put the blockade, and we gave them a time period. And then they took it serious because they removed them, because if had not, we were ready to go to war. That was a very, very close call, and I thank God to the day that we didn't have to go to war, and they did remove the missiles.
I guess I was always interested in business, and I really started along with my wife. She was interested in entrepreneurship, and I really enjoyed working with kids. I developed several youth entrepreneur training programs. I worked in for adult entrepreneur training at the Small Business Development Center in Harrisburg. My wife and I used to have African American marketplaces at the Harrisburg East Mall. We invited entrepreneurs and business people from all over. So I kind of, and then the kids, but I really enjoyed working with kids because my thing to them was that if you can't find a job, you can make a job.
Never stop wanting to improve on your education, your experience, to broaden your knowledge, to broaden your perspective of business in general, and to always be open to help someone else climb up the ladder that you took that next step. Always pull someone up.
As a young child, of course, I always attended church. That's a lot in my life. My mother, of course, was the guiding factor of getting us involved in churches as very young children. I always used that. I always had that as my rock stone or my cornerstone as far as like my abilities or my successes in life. I always put God first. Without that, I don't think I would have achieved as many things as I did in life, as far as like family, military career, police career, those type of things. So you have to put that first in order to be successful in life.